So greetings once again, everybody, and welcome. So glad to see you all this morning. We did that. There we go. So my topic for this morning is the purpose that surpasses all. You may remember that our theme for September is transcendent purpose. And so I was wondering, so what do we mean by, what does it mean to transcend? What do we do? What do we mean by transcendent? And so, because you can find absolutely anything on the internet, I went looking, and this is what I found. It comes from the Latin prefix trans, meaning beyond, and the word scandare or something like that, meaning to climb. When you achieve transcendence, you have gone beyond ordinary limitations. I love the idea of that, beyond ordinary limitations. So we're going to talk today about your purpose, not mine, not what your family thinks you should do, what your family thinks you shouldn't do, what society tells you you should or shouldn't do. And if you've spent any time with me, you know that should is one of my favorite words, because if we're using that in speaking or even in a thought, that means it's probably something that we're shoulding on ourselves about that we would prefer not to do, or that somebody's telling us that we shouldn't do that we really want to do. But that's a separate story. So back before we had those shoulds and those ideas and those rules and those suggestions and all the rest of that, we were little kids. We were little kids, and this is what it is, and oh boy, I'm here now, and what does life have for me, and what can I do, be, and have, because the sky is absolutely the limit. And whenever I think about that, I'm reminded of the book, The Four Agreements. And if you're familiar with that, you know, Don Miguel Ruiz, such a great book. And he writes about our domestication. So before we were told what we should do and shouldn't do, and well, little girls do that and don't do that, and little boys do that and don't do that, we were just here. But then we were taught about what's right and wrong and good and bad. And quoting from The Four Agreements. Oh, one more. Okay. Quoting from The Four Agreements, the adults around us, and in no way is there judgment here. It's just what happened because our parents and grandparents and others told us that you should be in after dark. Don't look both ways before you cross the street. Don't eat dessert before dinner. That's a little iffy, so you can decide what's true for you and what's not. Right? Yes. But in the book he writes, the adults around us hooked our attention and put information into our minds through repetition. That is the way we learned everything we know. We learned how to behave in society, what to believe and not to believe, what is acceptable and what is not, what is good and what is bad, what is beautiful and what is ugly, what is right and what is wrong. But we never had or took the opportunity to choose what to believe or what not to believe. We never chose even the smallest of these agreements. We didn't even choose our own name. I know, right? So all of this, so this is how it is, and this is how it is, and okay. But remember back before that, when we were little kids and didn't know, and I use the word know in quotations, we didn't know was right or wrong or good or bad, and so we're learning about life, and we're learning about our higher power, whatever that is for us, and we're learning about all these things. I love the verse in the New Testament when Jesus talks about how unless you become as a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. I would suggest that heaven is a moment-by-moment experience, just like hell is. Not waiting for the sweet by and by, but we express and experience that throughout every single day. And at any point, as it's starting to get a little warm in here, no pun intended, we can say, no, I want to go back to heaven instead, and change our thoughts about whatever it is. But unless we become as a little child, there we go. Unless we become as a little child, we will not enter the kingdom of heaven. This really resonated for me. I don't know, I might have talked about this last month, I'm not sure, but earlier in August, I had the opportunity to go to Portland, Oregon, and spend time with my grandkids. 7.
Oh, wow.
From one son and daughter-in-law. Busy place. It was so much fun. Because the energy and the passion and just all of that, and of course, whenever I'm with my son, I am remembering my beloved Brandon as 3 years old and 4 years old and 5 years old, not 40 something. How in the world did this happen? I have no idea. But remembering him and his excitement about what's new. Oh, I've never seen that before. Whoa, I've never heard that before. Whoa, you mean we can? Well, and I want to. And what are you sitting there for? Let's just go do it. Of course, little kids not concerned with, that it takes Amazon a couple of days to get whatever it is, or no, I have to go to work today, or whatever it is. Just, I want it. And so just do it. Such a wonderful experience. They don't get involved in the how or why. They just know that they want it. You get to figure out, mom or dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever, you get to figure out how it's going to happen. I just know that I want it. And they are fully present in the moment. Doesn't matter what happened this morning. Doesn't matter what are we doing tomorrow. Well, I don't know. But right now, this is what I want to do. Fully present in the moment. One of my favorite books is Smile for No Good Reason by Lee Jampolsky. And he talks about toddler wisdom. Starting with, bye-bye. Okay, we're done. Okay, bye-bye. Not, when will I see you again? Not, what do I do now? Just, okay. If we're done with that, then there's something good that's next. Bye-bye. So there's bye-bye. There's all gone. Yeah, all gone. Not, oh my dear God. What are we going to do for dinner? How will we get more? See, my son loved raw broccoli dipped in ranch dressing. I know, right? Yeah. Called them trees. So absolutely loved it. Right. With snow, right? Yes. I like that. But no consternation about, oh God, how or where are we going to get more broccoli? He just had that faith and that trust that, well, if that's done, I'm going to go play. And I just know that when it's time to eat again, we'll have whatever we need to allow that to happen. Bye-bye. All gone. And my favorite, drum roll please, whoopsie. Stepped on the dog. Whoopsie. Spilled the milk. Whoopsie. Forgot to do whatever it was. Whoopsie. Because in heaven, this experience of heaven, we don't have resentment or regret. We just know that in this moment, we're doing what we're doing. If I missed that, if I forgot that, if I spilled that, whatever, yes, but what's in the next moment for us? So great lessons for us mature adults to consider maybe just a little about that toddler wisdom in our lives. So there is I'm getting to the topic of our purpose, I promise. We are in heaven when we're living our divine purpose. And I would suggest we are not when we are not. And if you've ever been in a job, in a relationship, in any kind of situation in your life where it was not your divine purpose, chances are you would agree with me, you were not in heaven. But when we're in heaven, when we are doing what we want to do, what we love to do, what makes our tails wag and our hearts sing and lights us up, not that other stuff that we maybe should or shouldn't do. So talking about being true to ourselves and knowing ourselves and what's for us to do and what's not for us to do, this is really old news. This is even older news than New Thought. And I was looking at and some great wisdom from the great philosophers over time. Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Lao Tzu said, knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is true wisdom. Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. And of course, Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. But as we grow up, so many of us learned, in quotation marks, about how life is and is not, about how relationships are and are not, about how money is and isn't, about little children should be silent. Children should be silent, and we're somebody's child. Do we carry any of that old residue, for lack of a better word, about, well, now you just... women should remain silent in the church. Remember our buddy Paul in the New Testament said that? Yeah, I know. But the point is, what do we carry with us? Those old beliefs, those old teachings, those old ideas that don't serve us, haven't in a long time and maybe never did, but yet we're allowing those beliefs to keep us from the greater good that is ours. Because living outside of or underneath our divine purpose doesn't serve us, and it doesn't serve anybody else either. I love this quote from Marianne Williamson. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so others won't feel insecure around you. As you let your own light shine, you indirectly give others permission to do the same. I love the concept of that, because if you did that, maybe I can too. And if you did that, or you stop doing that, maybe I can too. So not only does it enrich our lives, it enriches other people's lives as well. Our success, our living the way we're called to live, our finding and expressing our divine purpose doesn't take anything away from anybody else. It's not competition. It's not pie. So important to recognize that. So the purpose that surpasses all is mine. The purpose that surpasses all is yours. What did you come here to do this afternoon? Maybe it's gardening, which I love. I don't, but I love that you do. Joyce, thank you for that. Love that. Maybe it's whatever it is that lights us up and makes our heart sing and our tail wag, either in a really good way or it just breaks my heart. And liking a post on Facebook is good, but it's not enough. Because when we have that feeling and that burning desire, positively or negatively, that I absolutely know that that's the universe saying that's yours to do. That is absolutely yours to do, that you can do something about, that you can make a difference, and that's what we're here for. So I found this great quote, and I was not I had heard of this man, but I didn't know much about him. And actually, I thought him was a her. But Rainer Maria Rilke was a Austrian and German, I think, author that lived between 1875 and 1926. And he wrote, "I know of no other advice than this. Go within and scale the depths of your being from which your very life springs forth." So what is mine to do? And what's not mine to do? And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I believe it's equally important for us to get what just really, I love to do that and I'm going to do it, versus doing out of obligation or, well, I guess I better, or, yes, they asked me. Now, and that only goes so far, because we're here to serve and we're here to be of service, and that's really wonderful. But if you've ever been in a situation, and I certainly have, when you said yes and then immediately regretted saying yes, that doesn't serve anybody. You know, it doesn't make you happy, doesn't make them happy. It's just, so what is ours to do and what is not ours to do, and how important to be equally aware of both of those. And Rilke goes on to write, "If your daily life seems poor, do not blame it. Blame yourself. Tell yourself that you are not poet." And I had to look this up in the dictionary as well, but a different meaning. You're not possessing special powers of imagination or expression enough to call forth its riches. For to the Creator, there's no poverty and no poor indifferent place. Now get this. It is spring again. The earth is like a child that knows poems by heart. Wow. Do you ever have those? Because I don't know about you, but I carry the most ridiculously amazing, useless information in my mind, right? Yes. I bet most of us could sing the Pina Colada song, right? Right, yes. And the poems and the writings that we carry with us. But a child that knows poems by heart, because those poems that we know by heart are etched in our hearts. They're part of us. So what is it that we're here for? What purpose are we serving this afternoon and tomorrow and next week and next month and next year? Now, when you go to dear ones you love and say, "I'm going to," or "I'm going to quit," what do they say? And is our decision affected by our worries about what people will think? I've shared this quote before, and I will share this quote again, but this is from my very most favorite book. It's Radically Content by Jamie Veron, and she writes, and I think this is so good. "What will they think is a 4-word question that has killed more dreams and happiness than any other. Who is they, and why do we care so much about what they think? Who is this faceless group of people that's going to come for us if we don't measure up to their ideal? And why are we not really encouraged to examine this idea we take as an absolute incontrovertible truth? What will they think?" Who cares? But really, because I don't know about you, but when I'm thinking of having a big decision, somebody's probably saying, "Oh God, there he goes again." And that's okay. What will they think? It's important for us in our heart of hearts, in our divine guidance, in our inner wisdom, to make the decision to decide what's best for us. And if they don't approve, that's okay. I love you. I appreciate that you're concerned about me, but I'm okay. And we get to move forward in our divine purpose. Now, sometimes, and I found this on Facebook, I love Facebook. I found this on Facebook. Sometimes you need a stop doing list as badly as you do a to-do list. Don't you love that? Because I don't know about you, but I've got those things that, and the still small voice says, okay, you're going to do that again, huh? And then it gets a little louder, and you really want to do that. And then, I don't know about you, but the still small voice gets not so still and not so small and says, are you sure that's yours to do? And we get to make that decision and stop being automatic and stop saying yes when it really starts to not be ours to do. But we get to make that decision. So what are we here for this afternoon? What's our purpose? What's next for us? And if we don't know, and sometimes we don't know, and that's okay, that's the opportunity to just be aware of what lights you up, what makes your heart sing and your tail wag, and whatever other expression you want to use for that. What's important to you? Maybe it's writing notes to people in a situation, reaching out to them and saying, hey, I care about you, I'm concerned for you. How cool is it to get, these days in 2025, how cool is it to get a handwritten card in the mail? It's just I'm like, oh my God, you took the time and you might have ordered it from Amazon, and that's okay. But maybe you actually went to the Hallmark store and bought a card and wrote it and put a stamp on it and put it in the mailbox, saying in all those steps, I care about you, I'm thinking about you, and this is showing it. And yeah, a text is 3 seconds out of our lives, and that's kind of cool. Or an email is 10 seconds out of our lives, and that's kind of cool. But how great to get that love, and that's exactly what it is, to get that love in the mail. Not for everybody, but I'm just saying, if that lights you up, that might be something for you to do. To stand up and say, yes, this is my truth, or no, this is not my truth. I absolutely believe that that is our purpose. That is ours to do. I did a workshop a few weeks ago. Where was I? Oh, you haven't seen me in a few weeks because I've been on the East Coast and in the Northeast, and I was in Burlington, Vermont, which just was so much fun. I just had the greatest time, and then drove to Cape Cod for a couple of days, and then Philadelphia, and then New York City, and spoke at Unity of New York City. Oh my God. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was pretty cool. But the point of this story, and I promise you there is one, that at one of the workshops, a man asked me afterwards, so what are we doing here? Is the purpose of this to transcend all of this and to be enlightened and to go sit on a mountain someplace? No. And I suggested no. I mean, that sounds kind of cool. And you go take a week and go sit on the mountain, go to the beach, go to the desert, whatever area of land is good for you, but then come back, because in the passion and the lusciousness of this thing called life, we get to say, yes, I like that and I want more of it, or no, that's not the truth. And because I love Facebook, I found another quote for you.
I love Facebook too.
Oh, well, there's Martin Luther King, of course. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. So we get our, and I'll get to that other quote in a minute, but we can't necessarily this afternoon go out and accomplish whatever that is. But we take the first step, and then the next step, and the next step. And as we know, when we state our intention, when we know where we're going, this loving, nurturing spirit that we carry with us, in us, as us, always says yes and brings us whatever we need to take that next step. Because we're always, always, always divinely guided. So that's the one. So are we here to sit on top of a mountain and just here for peace? What if instead of longing for ease, we were made for more, made to advocate, made to dig in, made to speak out, made for complexity, made for this moment? Because I don't know about you, but life gets kind of boring when I'm just, it's okay, and everything's fine, and I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and it's all right. But what if we threw in a little Tabasco sauce? What if we threw in a little spice? Because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, is the Tabasco sauce. That's what we're here for, is the joy and the passion and the purpose. And if we don't know, be aware of what we're aware of and ask, what's next for me? And allow Spirit to do what Spirit does. So the purpose that surpasses all is mine and yours. And we get to decide without apology, without, well, I'm going to try this, but with the absolute, once we know, with the absolute knowing that if we have a burning desire for it, if we had it as a thought that keeps us awake at night, and I don't know about you, but I've had those, you need to do this. No, but I'm waking up at night thinking about how I'm going to do it. That's the still small voice. That's the universe saying, yes, this is for you. This is what's next for you. This is for you to go to foreign countries and sing. Oh my goodness. Our beloved friends are going to England and Scotland. Wow. So awesome. And you were just in Croatia and Slovakia. Yes. Yeah. Amazing. That is so cool. That is so cool. So show up, and show up, but not only show up, but show up as the passionate, possible human beings that we are. So I love Facebook. And because we get there's all sorts of stuff on Facebook, and the stuff that is not, using a purely spiritual term, the stuff that's not for us, we just get to keep scrolling by. But I found this posting from one of my heroes, and she is Patricia Rutledge. She played Hetty Wainthropp in the British mystery series in the 90s, and she was Hyacinth Bouquet in Keeping Up Appearances. Now, for those of you that, if you've not seen Keeping Up Appearances, if you have the opportunity, I think it ran for about 4 years in England. She was so amazing because the last name is pronounced Bouquet, except it's really pronounced Bucket. But she was keeping up appearances. She was just trying to be one step under British royalty, not being white trash, which her family kind of was, not with all the drama and the oh my God that her family had, but she was trying to keep up appearances. So she always corrected people when they called her Mrs. Bucket because she was Mrs. Bouquet. But she writes on, she did this interview that I found on Facebook, and she said, people always laughed when I insisted on bouquet. They thought it was vanity, but it wasn't vanity, it was standards. Because names matter. How you present yourself matters. And if you don't set your own standard, the world will set it for you. I once attended a church function where everyone came in wrinkled cardigans and scuffed shoes, and nothing personal to any, whatever you're wearing today is fine. They looked comfortable, but they also looked invisible. I wore pearls. I stood tall. And whether they loved me or hated me, they noticed me. That's the lesson. Life rewards those who demand respect, not by being loud, but by carrying yourself as though you already belong. Manners may not make you rich, but they make you unforgettable. Don't shrink to fit the room. Make the room rise to meet you. If you have the opportunity and you haven't seen it, it's just the greatest show. She is so irritating, you just want to... But I had the opportunity to meet her in person about 20 years ago. We were in London and went to a play, and I said, you know, universe, I've traveled all this way, somehow, some way. So we went back to the stage door. It's just a little in Surrey, I think, was the name of the town. Went back to the stage door and waited and waited and waited. And the people with me are like, and I'm like, it's okay. You guys go do what you need to do. I'm going to meet Hyacinth. And she came out and she autographed my playbill book. And she could not have been more gracious and more wonderful. And how cool is that when, you know, when we meet somebody that's just such a shining star in our lives, and they are as gracious as we want them to be and as we expect them to be. Don't shrink our purpose to fit the room. Make the room rise to meet us. Because each of us brings something to life that no one else brings. Each of us with our experience, with our passion, with our wisdom, we bring something that no one else brings. And if we don't share it with the world misses out. And finally, my very most favorite quote from Jack London: I would rather be ashes than dust. I would rather that my spark should burn out in a brilliant blaze than it should be stifled by dry rot. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in a magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet. The proper function of men and women is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. And with that in mind, join me in the light for just a minute. So staying in this consciousness of oneness, we give great thanks for the opportunity to be together today, to be reminded of the truth of our being, to be reminded that we're here to do something amazing and wonderful, to do, be, and have something amazing and wonderful. We are so grateful for this beloved spiritual community, for the people who are with us in this room as well as online, for our beloved musicians, for our beloved support team, for this glorious day, this cool, almost full day in La Mesa. For this, for all of this and more, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Jerry. We'll be inspired all week long.